Welcome back, legends. It is time for another installment of Friday Q&A. We had last week off. I was on tour making loud noises all across the country. Had such a good time. It was particularly enjoyable to actually meet a few of you in the real world. Thank you to everybody who came out to the shows, particularly those people who also subscribed to the channel. It was really nice to actually meet some of the people who leave nice comments on my channel all the time. Speaking of my channel, if you want to support what I do here on the channel, there are some links in the video description, everything from my Patreon to the music that I make with Ragdoll to some affiliate links. Basically, no cost to you, but if you follow those links and you want to buy something, then I get a slight kickback on there so that I can buy myself some coffee and buy my cat some cat treats. If you don't want to do that, you can just keep enjoying the channel for free. You can even grab some free stuff like some free presets and IRs in the video description. Alrighty, let's get into some questions. Question number one, how was tour? A bunch of people have already asked me that since I came back. It was fantastic. It was tiring. We were in 4 states over the course of 72 hours. And for anybody not aware, Australia is roughly the size of the continental United States, but there is nowhere near as much stuff. So we flew from Perth to Melbourne on Friday morning Perth time, got in around 4 p.m. Melbourne time. We basically went to the hotel, had a snack, went straight to the gig, did the sound check, had some dinner, did the gig, caught up with everybody who came out to the show. And by then it was, 2 a.m. the next day. We went to our hotel, slept for 3 hours, got on the 7 a.m. flight up to Queensland, did a corporate show up there. Again, went to bed very late, got up very early. We're down in Sydney and had a really fun show at Frankie's in Sydney. And then we were on the 7 a.m. flight on Monday. So it went by in the absolute blink of an eye. It was particularly cathartic to catch up with some people in Sydney and Melbourne because we were over there on tour in March 2020. And we all know what happened around March 2020. So it almost felt like the last 2.5 years hadn't happened and I was just catching up with those people the next day. And I'll reiterate again to everybody who actually takes the time to check out the music that I make with Ragdoll, that is one of my big passions in life, playing music with those guys and, writing lyrics and writing songs and going out and performing them and, doing my guitar aerobics routine while the other guys in the band work really, really hard. So shout out to everybody involved who made those shows happen. There was a lot of planning and prep that went into it, but it was so worth it. I am so lucky to be able to do what I do. What's happened to the purple hat? Will it ever make a comeback? How do you approach covering a song by a band like, say, Led Zeppelin or any other legendary band? If you caught our Friday show in Melbourne, we did an encore where we did Immigrant Song, and that's a song that we've been covering for a long time. I think it's just one of those songs that we all know how to play, and when we kind of figured out that we all knew how to play it, it kind of made sense that sometimes when the mood is right in the room, you just give people what they want, and absolutely screaming like a Viking while you're playing heavy riffs is pretty fun. So I would say don't worry too much about it. Just try to put yourself into the song. Don't try to be Jimmy Page or Tony Iommi. Just try to be yourself. And one of the great things about music, in particular rock and metal music, which is derived from the blues, which is a music tradition that heavily relies on interpretation, is that interpretation is kind of the key. Everybody's going to play those songs slightly differently, so play to your strengths. What am I going to do with my third ADA MP1? I did a video during the week talking about the clean chorus tones on the MP1, and I kind of got the OD1, OD2 functions mixed up. Apologies to anybody who noticed that, but I still do want to mod my other MP1. And I've been reading ADA Depot again and looking up some of the mods. I've got a 3-tube mod version of one. I would probably go for something slightly different if I did another mod. I really like the way the 3-tube mod sounds, but maybe go for something in that kind of like 5150 direction or something like that. If you've got a modded MP1 that's not the 3-tube mod, let me know what you got and how you like it. What's my favorite Aussie pie? We're talking meat pies here. We're talking Australian meat pies and kind of talking genre here. I am generally a traditionalist when it comes to pies. There is an amazing pie shop in a little town called Baker's Hill here in Western Australia. So when you drive from Perth to Kalgoorlie, you stop in Baker's Hill and you get a Baker's Hill pie. Everybody who's been there knows what I'm talking about. And for me, I would normally go with like just the normal meat pie or like a steak and pepper pie, or if I'm feeling really adventurous, I might go for the steak and mushroom or something like that. But, I've got people who enjoy a Cornish pasty instead of a pie, but I never really feel like that is the correct choice. Let me know what your favorite pie is if you're an Aussie or a Brit or a European or a citizen of the world who just enjoys a good meat pie. Or, you've been to any of these places with great pies. Let me know your favorite pie. I've said pie a lot in this question. How about checking out some more modern preamps, like say the ENGL E530? That's a preamp I've been wanting to check out for as long as I've been into preamps. I very nearly had the chance to buy one about 10 years ago, and it was one of those things where I was umming and ahhing about it, and as I was, it got sold. So it always kind of feels like a little bit of a lost unicorn, the ENGL stuff. I've actually never really had that much hands-on experience with ENGL amps. I would love to try a Savage, just because, I've seen so many clips of them on YouTube where they sound truly savage, and I like the Axe-Fx model as well, but no experience with any ENGL stuff firsthand. I should probably change that. What is a good, cheap guitar head for somebody who is wanting to build their first rig? I think my canonical answer here is the Boss Katana. It does so much stuff very well. It's got built-in effects. It's pretty loud. You could definitely gig one, or you can scale it right back down if you want to play at home. And it's very geared to guitar players. You can put all the knobs in the middle and just go through the modes, and you've got clean crunch lead, kind of brown sound in there, really good selection of effects. You can check out my videos with them, and yeah, it's kind of hard to go past the Katana for your first kind of serious head. Do I still have Fishman Fluence pickups in my PRS McCarty? I do. I still really like them. I wish I had the models that had the coil tap. That's the only thing I would change about them. I find the two humbucker modes sound pretty similar, almost to the point where I just use the main mode. To me, they are like a slightly quieter version of like a Duncan JB and Jazz, and they look cool and they sound good. The batteries last forever in them, and if you want an active pickup that doesn't sound like an active, I would still really highly recommend the Fishman Fluence Classics. I'm digging them. If I could substitute in for any band, current or past, who would it be? I'll break this down into two questions. Maybe we'll do a current band and we'll do a past band. I think it would be amazing to play with Doug and Jerry in King's X at the same time. It's no longer King's X because you don't have Ty in there. Or I would love to just go out and play guitar for like a Nickelback gig and just absolutely slam some meaty riffs into an arena. And again, I'm a Nickelback apologist. Go and listen to Dark Horse. It is a great hard rock album, and their live show is pretty phenomenal. I reckon that would be a super fun gig to sub for. Talking about bands past, it would have to be Rush. End of discussion. Could you imagine being on stage with Geddy and Neil and playing Rush riffs, and how amazing that would be? I think we can all imagine it. One last question for this week, and this question relates to being a beginner and being anxious about how to progress on the instrument, whether it is writing your own material, whether it is learning to improvise and solo over backing tracks, or whether it's just, playing a few songs in front of your friends. I would highly recommend finding a teacher and having a few lessons, whether it is a few casual lessons or whether it is regular weekly or fortnightly sessions. A good teacher will not only show you how to do things, they will also be able to kind of mentor you through your journey of learning how to do things. So there's how to do stuff, and there's how to think about doing the stuff as well. And I think for me, teaching, it's normally a 50-50 split between those things. A lot of it is showing people how to do stuff they want to do, but a lot of it is actually all the kind of hang-ups that come with that process, because learning an instrument is not an easy thing to do. If it was an easy thing to do, everybody would be doing it, and it would not kind of be a unique asset that you have in your toolkit. So find yourself a good teacher and try to really enjoy all the steps of the journey. We're all in it for very similar reasons. And I enjoy guitar mostly for the pure pleasure of making guitar noises and playing music with other people. Me enjoying that after having played guitar most of my life, it's kind of no different to somebody who's been playing guitar for 3 months and they learn a brand new chord and they get this rush from learning something. You know, there is no correct way to enjoy the instrument. There's no orthodoxy really when it comes to human experience and getting something out of learning an instrument. So try to focus on the day-to-day joy that you can get out of the instrument, and I think the rest will take care of itself. Again, if you're comparing yourself to other people, sometimes that can be a good and healthy thing, because you can kind of say, hey, I thought I could perform this particular piece really well, but I've seen somebody else play it at what I consider a much higher standard, so I'm going to go away and I'm going to do a whole lot more work. But sometimes it can be you comparing yourself to Eric Johnson or Tosin Abasi or your favorite guitar player on YouTube or Instagram, and they've been playing guitar for like 40 years and you've been playing guitar for 4 minutes and you're wondering why you can't do it. Well, again, what you're actually seeing is this cumulative effect of like lots and lots and lots of work. So just try to enjoy the work as you go, and I think you'll get a lot out of it. That's all for this week's Q&A. If you have a question for next week, feel free to put it in the comment section. Again, links to support the channel are in the video description, and I hope you all have a fantastic weekend wherever you are. I'll see you next time.